Hi, I'm Tammy Murden, co-director of Leader Development, and here with my friend, my co-director, Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Rude, and together with Tammy, we're going to be talking about the art of giving and receiving feedback. Now, as you know, feedback is a difficult topic for all of us.
Mark, can
Uh,
I interrupt you for a minute? I'm so
sure,
sorry.
Tammy, we're right in the middle of a workshop here.
I know, but I'm observed that you have your sunglasses on,
Oh,
and I think that people can't see your eyes, and it the effect is it makes you a little less trustworthy. And so I'm wondering if you could
okay.
take them off the rest of the workshop
Got you. Okay, I hadn't
moving
thought
forward.
about
Yeah.
that. Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
that's better.
That's
I can actually
so
see
much
now,
better.
too. Okay, I can actually see
That's
now.
great.
Okay,
Thanks,
great.
Mark. Yeah. So, as you can see, all feedback is a gift. And Mark and I love to tease around, and it's a little gag, but how often are we really willing to give helpful feedback to people? As we go through this short summary workshop on giving and receiving feedback, think about when you've received helpful feedback. Also, think about your posture in how you receive and how you give feedback. Are you defensive like a cobra? Are you gentle in entering in for the good of the person? Or is in your posture in giving feedback, are you attacking or are you gentle? So, when have you received helpful feedback? What is your posture in receiving feedback? Helpful feedback, it should feel like this. Here's an example. We had a young man in our Compass program who had been given lots of, let's say, negative feedback in his career. And in the Compass program, the director had to give him some feedback about his engagement with the different people in the class. And at the end of the time, his comment was, I've received lots of feedback in my life, but this is the first time I have
Mm,
felt called up and not called out. That's what good, helpful feedback should feel like. The person walks away feeling called up, not called out. And a couple of notes about feedback. Next slide. Yes. Is it should be specific, whether it's positive or growth opportunity. It should be about the person's growth. It's centered on them and what is helpful and useful for them. It should be recent and quick, and it should cause people to feel called up. What it isn't, it's not just appreciation. Saying thank you is not feedback. It's not about behavior modification, and it's not about me venting my frustrations at something someone has done. I need to deal with my own heart first before I offer helpful feedback. And it's not the same thing as conflict resolution. That's a different style and a different type of engagement. Feedback isn't about calling people out, it's about calling people up. And one of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou, that people will forget what you do and what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel.
There's a passage in Proverbs that says, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. The golden apple represents this word of wisdom, this word of encouragement, a gift to someone. But then the settings of silver refers to the situation, the timing, the way that you craft the message together. When the right word is given in the right way, it's a beautiful gift, as Tammy has talked about to others. So we're going to introduce to you a little, maybe new language to some of you, the idea of giving plus delta feedback. Plus delta. Plus refers to feedback that's given with the hope of affirming and increasing an observed behavior. Delta is feedback that's given with the hope of encouraging growth in the person's life. In the past, we'd talk about this as critical feedback, but it's not about criticism. It's a gift to them to help them grow and to change their contribution. And so in the past, we're all familiar with the old Oreo cookie formula for giving feedback. You say one positive thing, an affirmation, and then you follow it up with an area for improvement, and then you close with an affirmation. What we're finding to be true is that devalues both, that the delta is devalued and the plus is devalued. Each of these are so valuable, they need to stand alone. And sometimes it can be experienced as a little bit disingenuous or manipulative. One of our friends in the military, they said in the military, they would the commander would say to the soldier, "Nice shoes, you suck. Nice shoes." And those nice shoes comments are just a buffer to the difficult feedback. Delta feedback is such a gift; it needs to be crafted well and needs to be done with intentionality. So we're going to suggest that you learn how to offer each of these by themselves, and to use the language plus and delta, and to make this a part of your leadership culture. So Tammy and I are now going to model a little bit about how you would actually provide plus delta feedback. Tammy.
So, Mark, can I offer you some plus feedback?
I'd love that. Thank you.
So, at the recent event that we were at where you did some teaching, I observed that you were in a zone. I mean, I know you to be a good speaker, but you handled the word well. You were very confident, even more than usual. And the effect that it had on people were they were inspired, they were engaged with you. And a lot of people signed up for a summer missions program. So moving forward, I just want to say whatever you're doing, keep doing it because you are on a roll.
Great. Thank you, Tammy. Appreciate that.
Hmm.
Tammy, can I offer you some delta feedback?
Yes, please do.
I noticed last week when we were at the team building exercise, you were leading your team to get a good result, and your language. I observed that your language was very directive towards meeting that goal. And the effect was, while your team did get first placed, your team seemed to be actually disengaged emotionally. And when you, at the end of the exercise, they weren't celebrating the win. And so I think moving forward, I encourage you to be not only aware of the goal, but also the impact of your words on your team, especially when you are in task mode.
Thanks, Mark. That's helpful for me to think about.
Okay, great. So we just modeled a observation, effect, moving forward framework. But if we stop here, it can lead to something that Tammy talked about before, and that is just behavior modification. And so we've added 2 additional steps in this process, the steps of impression and explore. So we'll review these in a minute, but let's just go ahead and model these together with the same examples that we just did for you a minute ago. Tammy.
So, Mark, can I offer you some plus feedback?
I'd love that.
So, at the event that we were at last week, I observed that you were in a zone. You handled the word well. You were very confident. And the effect was people were inspired and engaged. And a lot of people signed up for a summer missions program. I really had the impression that this is something you've been growing in and working on. And I just wondered what was going on? What have you been doing? Why do you think you were in such a zone when you were speaking last week?
Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, for me, public speaking has been an area of a lot of anxiety for me in the past. And so I've been learning about, I just felt like last week, for the first time, I had a lot of freedom in the Holy Spirit. And I felt like the Holy Spirit was prompting me to move ahead and just to put myself out there more. So I'm glad that you observed that about myself. It was a place of just great freedom for me and joy inside.
Wow, Mark, that is so encouraging and love to hear more about all the things that you're learning. But that's our value of leading, leading and empowering of the Holy Spirit. And you are leaning into that. And man, I just encourage you to continue paying attention to Galatians 5:25 to keep in step with the Spirit because it is really having an incredible impact on the people that God is using you to speak to.
Great. Thank you, Tammy. Tammy, can I offer you some Delta feedback?
Yes, please.
Last week at the team building exercise, I noticed that during the exercise, your language was very directive towards your team in meeting the goal. And the effect was that while your team got first place, they seemed really disengaged. And even at this award ceremony time, they were not really celebratory about what they'd done. It kind of gave me
Hmm.
the impression that when you are in task mode, that your focus is only on the goal, and that somehow you may have taken your eyes or your awareness off of your people and how they were feeling. But that's just my impression. I do want to understand. Help me understand what was going on for you inside as you led that exercise.
Hmm. Wow, Mark, that is really good feedback. And it's not the first time I've heard this kind of feedback my whole life because I am a task driven person. And while I care about people, I can get focused on the wrong thing. I probably need to sit with it a little bit and think about it some more and invite the Lord to speak to me specifically in that instance, what was going on with me. Um, but that's really helpful for me to think about because I don't want to be so focused on the task that I forget about people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm really thank you for bringing this to my attention. And maybe can we even circle back in a few days and talk about it some more?
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love that. Yeah, let's maybe together we can work moving forward how to help develop you and the ability to keep the mission first, but also keep the people. Always
Hmm,
value your people as you move ahead with the mission. So keeping your awareness on both of these two areas together. So I'd love that. Thanks, Tammy.
that's great.
Okay, Tammy and I just modeled observation, effect, impression, explore, and moving forward. You can later pause the video and read through the details of how to do this. But this is a recipe. When we use a recipe in cooking, if you're not experienced at cooking, it vastly increases your ability to succeed. Feedback is a very difficult skill to learn. So I encourage you to use this recipe at least until you get your muscle memory really established, your neural pathways established to do that. So observation, effect, which is more objective, the effect it had on you and others. Impression, what impression did you have about the other person? It's more tentative. It gave me the impression that this is what you were feeling, this is what you were thinking. And then explore. I want to explore this together with you. I want to understand this from the inside. What was that like for you? Then returning to moving forward. Tammy, any thoughts here?
No, I just wanted to affirm what you said and call attention to the difference between the first two. You know, the first one can often feel like behavior modification. And this way really engages people under the waterline. It heightens the dignity and value of each individual, another of our navigator values. Um, and so while both are useful and important, learning to really move into the expression, impression and explore, inviting dialogue, that's engaging people with a developmental
Mm-hmm.
mindset. Even I noticed in your closing, moving forward with me on my Delta feedback, you're like, let's think about how we can help you improve. Which in that moment, I felt like, wow, Mark's really for me in this. He's calling me up and he wants to help me
Mm-hmm.
get better at
Mm.
this.
I'm reminded also of, as a leader, this is your chance to go under the waterline with those who look to you for leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And to what are we bringing to them there? Well, there's no condemnation. All feedback is a gift. It's the transforming
Mm-hmm.
power of the gospel. This is the place where you offer love and support and helping people to grow and develop. So great, Tammy. Can you talk about the flip side of the coin of receiving feedback?
Sure. So, this is what I was trying to also model in receiving Delta feedback from you, which could have felt hard. And even in my natural flesh, I'm a defensive person, super defensive. And so, really, these are things I have worked on in receiving feedback: is to be open, to be inviting, to say thank you for your thoughts, and to ask the Lord, like, not just trust that what you say. I want to take your observations, but really, Lord, is this true? Is it accurate? Is this a blind spot for me? Lord, what do you want to say to me? Search me and know me. I think it's really important in receiving feedback that we are willing to be honest with ourselves. Psalms 41:12 says, "In my integrity, you uphold me and set me in your presence forever." In my honesty, in my being honest with myself, I come into the Lord's presence for growth. And then to explore with a trusted mentor is so important in receiving feedback. It's sometimes we receive feedback that isn't accurate. Sometimes we receive feedback that we just can't provide what the person is asking of us. There's an example of one of our national leaders who received some feedback from his team that he was very slow in making decisions. And in that situation, he took the feedback, he was very open, and he went to the Lord, but he talked about it with a trusted mentor. And the mentor said to him, you're a care strength leader and you're never going to make fast decisions. So you need to help manage your team's expectations on what this looks like. You can get better, but have a conversation talking about what does it look like for me to be me and to receive the feedback that you've given me. So receiving feedback is so much about our posture. Are we willing to be open and to be learners and to take it back to the Lord and to trusted people? Anything to add, Mark?
No, I think just in the end, I'm going to put my glasses back on now that the workshop's over, Tammy, if that's okay with you. But in the end, all feedback, all feedback is a gift. So whether it's plus or whether it's delta, let no words pass from your mouth except that which is useful for building up others. In the
I love
end,
that verse.
let's really craft our feedback. Let's take time to be intentional and craft our feedback and bring it to our people in a way that it will be beneficial for their growth and transformation. So we will add a link in the description below with a PDF form so you can have some more detailed information about the art of giving and receiving feedback. Thanks, Tammy.